Hiya sugar, we are making brown butter, peach cobbler, cinnamon buns, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. But first of all, go grab a cup of coffee and let's go bake. I have been looking forward to doing this recipe this whole week, and I'm so grateful that I can share it with you guys because it is one of my favorite ingredients. Peaches is absolutely one of my favorite fruits, and I'm so glad that I could do this with you guys, even though it was my first time, and even though I made a couple of mistakes. That's alright, we learn by doing, and that's what I love about baking. So what we're first doing, and what I love about this, is that it's simple ingredients that you should have in your pantry already. If there's a couple of things that you need, go and get it. It is worthwhile doing this. It is delicious, and I'm sure that your whole family will enjoy it. So first of all, what we did is we built our tangzong. This is where the moisture gets locked in the dough and it stays fresher for longer. Trust me, it's a step that you don't want to miss. Second of all, we've got our flour, we've got our yeast, salt, sugar, and that we get whisk it up, and then we add in the wet ingredients. So your cooled down tangzong, then your milk, your large egg, and then your egg yolk and vanilla extract, and then you mix it until it becomes a shaggy dough. I let it mix for about 2 minutes. And then what I did is that I started adding in the butter. It is 60 grams of unsalted butter that is softened, and you just add that in there. So you'll be adding those blocks in a little bit at a time. So that's 60 grams over about 10 minutes. You add in, let it mix in until it's nicely combined, and then you add in your next block. It took me about 10-12 minutes to actually get it all combined, and then it gives you that time to knead it properly, and then that window pane test I'll show you guys now towards the end of the mixing. It is an amazing thing. You just lift up 2 pieces, and if you can see through it without it tearing, that means that the dough is ready. And now what you're doing, you're going to let the dough rest and rise. You want it to rise about 75%, and once it gets there, mine took about 2.5 hours. The kitchen was really cold this morning. We're in winter and it is really cold at the moment. But anyway, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do the peaches. So what we're going to do is you got your fresh peaches. If you can't get fresh peaches, you can use a tin like I have, or you can use frozen. So what I did is I measured out the light brown sugar, the cornstarch, the ground cinnamon, ground nutmeg, lemon juice, and a pinch of salt. And then 500 grams of peaches. I just used the big tin of peaches that we get in our supermarket, and I just drained it, dried it off with paper towel, just so that you don't have that excess moisture going into the bake. And I mixed up all the ingredients and then put it in the oven, and I let that roast for about 20 minutes. So what you'll do is you'll start seeing golden edges coming up, and it will be like a jam almost. It's got a syrupy kind of, it makes the whole house smell amazing. The next thing we're going to make is the smear. So this is where you've got 57 grams of unsalted butter, 100 grams of brown sugar, and 6 grams of ground cinnamon, and 1 gram of fine salt, just a pinch of salt, and mix that up and set that aside. Once that is done, we are then going to move on to the strussel, and this is where it gets interesting. So now we're going to make the brown butter streusel. Okay, so this is where I changed it just a little bit. I got a little bit of a tip in the community, and I thought, you know what, let me give it a try. So I browned that butter. Butter must be nice and golden in color. It's giving you that nutty aroma, and you just keep going. I promise you that it adds on that little bit of extra flavor. When it is at that stage, at that golden stage, you're going to add in half a cup of the syrup from the tinned peaches. And I promise you, just one thing, just take it off of the heat, because it does splash everywhere, like it is going to splash everywhere. And then what you do is you let that simmer down until it's got a nice syrup, okay? And then you're going to go and add in your other ingredients. You're going to add in your 95 grams of all-purpose flour, 50 grams of light brown sugar, 25 grams of granulated sugar, and then 2 grams of ground cinnamon. You've got your nutmeg, half a gram, and then a little pinch of salt again. this is where you might have to add in a little bit of extra flour. Because I added in a little bit of more liquid, you need to make it to that almost like a crumbed consistency. So keep going until you do get that crumb. Mine was a little bit denser in a way that it needed a little bit more flour, but I was okay with that. I don't mind that at all. So as you see, I mixed and mixed, and then I added more flour. And then when it starts holding all together, what you're going to do is you're going to just break off small pieces, and then you're going to pop that into the freezer to chill nicely, and then it will be ready for when you need it. And now your dough should be ready. Mine wasn't, but I had to wait an extra half an hour. Like I said, my kitchen was cold, but it's alright. At least that got me an opportunity to have another cup of coffee. So what I do is, I know this is not a technique that a lot of bakers do, but I like to have the dough stick onto the counter nicely. Not in a way that the dough then pulls apart when you try and roll it, but just a little bit sticky, so that when you're rolling it out, that it doesn't shrink back, if that makes sense. And then I just let it rest for like 5 minutes before I add in the cinnamon. And while it's busy doing that, it does rest and relax the gluten in the dough itself. So once I rolled it out to the shape that I needed it to, trust me, it's not perfect, but it's a work in progress. I put in the smear. So what it is that you just use your hands. I promise you, don't use a spatula or a spoon. It tears the dough apart. Use your hands so that the heat from your hands gently smooths the filling across the whole area. Then you take your peaches. I smashed it a little bit, and then I added it into the filling. Okay, so what I did is I took the filling, and then I just put dollops everywhere, and then just took a spoon and just spread it over evenly. I think because it is a canned peach that it is a lot softer, but I don't think it came out too badly, I must be honest. And now I start rolling, and I felt that the peaches started mushing away, so I tried to put it under. But you know what, it actually came out quite nicely, and I think that I did alright. I know that the recipe calls for 12 cinnamon buns, but in my heart, I feel like a big old cinnamon bun is so much better than a smaller one. So, and I think my family appreciates it more too. But anyway, and I do apologize. My measuring isn't perfect to all the OCD people out there, but you know what? It's just for people at home. I'm not selling these, and it's going to be delicious either way. So I'm very grateful for that. And anyway, so now it's time to let it rest and rise. And it rose beautifully. And ta-da! We have baked. It was half an hour in the oven, and I think I had my oven on too warm because it was a little bit too golden than what I would have liked it to be, but it adds a little bit of flavor, and like I said, it's just for my family. But I know for next time to just have my oven a little bit cooler, and then just to maybe have a foil ready just to dome it over. And now we're making our glaze. It's supposed to be with buttermilk, but I thought, you know what, I don't have at the moment, so I'm just going to use milk, icing sugar, a little bit of vanilla essence, and some salt. And now I just sprinkle, and it was lots of fun. And I absolutely am so grateful that I took the opportunity to do this and to share this with you guys. It was amazing. Let me know what you think. And that's how you make brown butter, peach cobbler, cinnamon buns. Wow, that is such a mouthful, but I'm looking forward to tasting this. Delicious.